Hi
everybody.
Everyone, it's time for another monthly TBR.
That's right. We're actually...
I think I did.
Okay,
We're doing fairly
I
well.
guess.
I mean, I can't tell you because July isn't over yet when we're filming this, but...
That's true, but
doing
it's
fairly
fine. I mean, it's nice to have goals, but you know how these things go. You set a goal, you
Yes.
diverge a little bit, but you have fun anyway.
Basically, these are the books that we're most interested at the moment in reading in August.
Yeah, that's right. So, shall I begin?
Yes,
So,
Macky gets to start off this video.
so I've been sort of DNFing, which is
So proud, so
something
proud.
to be proud of. Almost like if it's on this DNF list, then it's almost half an unhaul already because there's no guarantee I'm going to read absolutely everything there. I shall begin with my little DNF or die roll. So this is an old arc from Ace Sakin, I want to say, called Becoming the Dragon Inside. It's an old arc that or if, I don't know if it's an arc or if it's a finished copy that I gotten from Smith Felicity. I'm gonna give it one last whirl. If that doesn't work, then off to the unhaul pile it goes. There is a book called Wonderland by Barbara O'Connor, so this is left over from last year. It's a coming of age tale about three kids who sort of like, you know, have like their own kind of personal problems and they sort of hatch a scheme together to sort of survive the summer and, you know, make sure their friendship survives. I have not actually touched it since last year, so now is the time because it's time to unhaul. Oh, this is fun. The Stormkeeper's Island by Catherine Doyle, finally. So I want to get my mitts on this. And Owen Colfer says it's magical in every way, and I'm just like, well, this guy, you know, Artemis Fowl's writer knows a little bit about magic, so yeah, finally gonna get around to this arc. I mean, it's out now, but you know, it's gonna be its own thing. I am reading, well, again, leftover. I want to say from last year's BA would be What We Buried, thriller-ish.
That cover's creepy.
I know it's super creepy. People are asking for anyone with information about the brewer's whereabouts to contact local authorities. I think it's one of those things where you sort of have a past and you kind of escape it, and then now it's coming back to haunt you, and now you got to deal with it. So I have a huge feeling I'm just going to go, nah, and then just throw it on the pile. But you never know. You never know how these things sort of turn out. And lastly, these two are due in October. We hauled them, I want to say, a couple of months ago in May, perhaps, I think. It's Sam Saves the Night, which is a story about a bunch of kids who sort of have like supernatural powers that activate when people are asleep or whatever it is.
Interesting.
And for those of you who remember the Midnight Patrol when you were kids watching, yes, that is an old cartoon. I guess give me those vibes where you got a bunch of kids who have the power to do stuff in their dreams. And then there's the Camelot Code, Geeks and the Holy Grail. I'm a fan of the Arthurian legends. Not a huge fan, but a fan enough anyway of just sort of like the heraldry of it.
It's always interesting to see what they'll do.
So yeah, I mean, I sat through the Kid Who Would Be King movie. It was okay. It wasn't the greatest movie of all time, but it was a bunch of kids who are... One kid was the heir to Arthur and Excalibur, so I don't know how that's going to figure out here. And I always like the idea of having knights and kings and kingdoms to protect. That is my DNF or die.
Exciting.
Call.
Well, August is my birthday month, August 5th, and I just feel like being very ambitious during my birthday month.
Ooh, very ambitious
so
indeed.
I'm gonna try to read a lot of the books that I have as review copies because I want to, you know, get ahead and get to talk to you guys about them. But I do have a very specific list of books that I definitely think I'm going to be reading, and it's a long list. Like, it's a long list.
Well, let's get
but
started.
we're gonna try anyway. Okay, so first I'm gonna talk about all of the books that I'm reading for Friends with Arcs with my friend Rachel from Hello Chelly. We do this fairly regularly where we both buddy read the arcs that we've received and then come up with a post, come up with a question, answer the question together. It's great. So one of the books that we are reading next month is The Girl the Sea Gave Back by Adrienne Young. She is the author of The Sky and the Deep, and this novel is about a character that was actually in The Sky and the Deep. And it's a whole new story. This character has grown up a little bit. It's gonna be so good, and this cover is gorgeous, and I cannot wait to read it. We are also going to be reading this book, which I have a giveaway for, still gonna link it because I've extended the giveaway. There Will Come a Darkness by Katie Rosepool, which is a very substantial book. And it sounds like an apocalypse book. There are 5 characters who are prophesied to have something to do with either starting the apocalypse or ending the apocalypse.
Yeah, I want
and
that.
it's woven into Greek mythology, so that's also something we'll be reading. And the last one is something I don't actually have a physical copy of, and that book is Lady Rogue, The Lady Rogue by Jen Bennett. Don't really know much about that book, except that it is the first fantasy book that Jen Bennett has written. She's known more from her YA contemporaries, so it's gonna be a fun ride. Aside from reading stuff with Rachel, I'll also be reading stuff with Kristen from Super Space Chick, and one of those things is an arc. The other you will find out later. We'll be reading The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow. This was sent to me by Orbit. Paula, thank you for this book. It is basically set in a mansion where the main character, January, discovers that there are lots of doors that are portals to other worlds, which
portal story.
I love a
Fun.
good portal story, so definitely checking that out. And then I'm also reading stuff with Mel from Mel to the Annie. It is also her birthday month, and so we decided that we were going to try and buddy read some of the books that we both had together. So a couple that I don't own that we're going to be reading are Steel Crow Saga by Paul Kruger, which is basically inspired by Filipino and Japanese lore. Wicked As You Wish by Rin Chupeco, and The Never Tilting World by Rin Chupeco. Never Tilting World is out at the end of this year. Wicked As You Wish is out in March of next year. Both stories are fantasy stories. Wicked As You Wish in particular is the one I'm excited for because it combines fairy tale tropes with Filipino mythology and sounds incredible. It's going to be so good. But I do have 2 books that I can show you. The first is A Thousand Fires by Shannon Price. This one is from Tortine, and it's a gang story, actually. And the character in it wants to basically avenge her brother, and so she wants to join the best gang, obviously, but there's this other gang leader who's trying to get her to join his gang instead. And we also have Faker by Sarah Smith, which is a rom-com that's coming out from Berkeley. This is out in October, and it's basically an office romance between a construction worker and one of the women who works at the same company. It's gonna be real fun, I'm sure, so I'm also gonna be reading that as well. Those are all the review arcs that I'm gonna try to be reading for sure. There may be a few others that squeeze around there, but who knows what's gonna happen in August, right?
Awesome. With most of the review books out of the way, my big TBR that I'm actually currently reading right now is Sword of Destiny by
Witcher.
Andrew Sapkowski. It's the Witcher book.
Is it short stories?
It is the second of the group of short stories before the actual sort of Witcher proper.
Like the actual
books 1 to 6 or some such. Blood of the Elves kind of begins. I've already read the first chapter, and it is one of the most gorgeously written. I just ate it up so much. It's really, really great.
Really?
Yeah, I know. I was surprised myself that I ended up loving this first chapter this much. I think it's great. You're going to see this in the hall, so this is an advanced preview of what the hall is going to be like. But Alexa finally got the last, the current 4 volumes that are out right now, 3, 4, 5, 6, of Boruto, The Next Generations. It's set in the world of the Naruto kind of universe, and it's about the next generation, which is their kids of the previous.
And we love those kids.
Kids of the previous kids that are now sort of grown-ups. And we watch the TV series every week. I don't think that they've even begun to touch the actual stories in the manga, because they're just extending things to death, which we don't mind for some
there
weird
are just
reason.
Certain things that
for some weird reason I'm fine with non-canon this time around. For some reason, I think
it's because the kids are great.
I think so too. I think it's just because we love them so much we'll take anything. Unlike where there was such high stakes already sort of in the manga. It's are we really going to go to that random village that you just invented for the thing while the larger war?
We haven't quite reached the part where it's super high stakes.
Yeah, but for all we know, this puts me straight back to canon and makes me hate everything that isn't canon. I don't know. I'm snooty that way.
We'll find out.
But we will find out. So there's that. I know I'm definitely reading, and you'll see it in the hall again, another advanced hall piece, is The Very, Very Far North. We got this from Simon & Schuster, because a friend of ours was like, you gotta try this book, and we're like, sure, we'd love to kind of review. It's basically kind of like Winnie the Pooh in the North, because it's a story about a polar bear and his friends. There's an Arctic owl sitting with a polar bear, and I think there's a bison named Handsome in there somewhere too. Super looking forward to this book. And then lastly, because I had started on book 1, this is book 2 of The Keeper of the Lost Cities. Several halls ago, you might have seen that we got the entire series, at least that was out so far, of this thing, and so we're super grateful that we got that and dug right in. Found enough of book 1 to be super great, and so here it is. It suffers, I want to say, from the Magic School set out over 25 billion volumes thing, where it gets really, really high on the first book, and then there's stakes, and then suddenly it's normal, random, mundane stuff when you open up the next book, and you're just like, really? We're in the woods looking for mushrooms or something? That's how we start book 2, because I have started book 2 as well, and that's my TBR. This is semi-ambitious for me too, I think, because considering my reading slump of the first quarter of the year, but we will see how far we get.
So I did say I was buddy reading something else with Kristen. That book is going to be The Well of Ascension, which is the second book in the Mistborn series. I read The Final Empire with her a month or 2 ago, and I really enjoyed it. I had never read it before, and I finally got the chance to read my first Brandon Sanderson and really liked it. So I'm curious to see how that story continues to unfold for the rest of the series. But also I have a couple of other things I'm joining in on in August. So we're continuing with Fairython. We are reading the last of the Modern Fairy Tale series, Ironside. The Modern Fairy Tale series is a fairy series by Holly Black. It was published well before her current fairy series. It's been an interesting ride. So Ironside actually continues with the 2 main characters from Tithe, which was the first book, and the characters from the second book, Valiant, appear in it. So I will be curious to see what I think of that. I thought the first book was okay. I liked the second book a teensy bit more, but it was also just okay. So we're gonna see how I feel about this third one. I am also participating in the Diviners read-along that people I know and absolutely love are hosting. That's Madeline from Novel Inc., Mel from L to the Any, Jane from It's Jane Lindsay, and Chelsea from Chelsea Darling Reads. So we will be reading The Diviners next month by Libba Bray. This is also another series I have never started, but I've heard such fantastic things about. I actually own 3 different versions of it for some reason. I have an audiobook, a Kindle book, and this finished copy, so clearly the universe is telling me to read this book. It's set in 1920s New York. It follows a girl named Evie. She becomes a paranormal investigator in the story because there is a big mystery going on. I can't wait to get to it. And we've come to the very important part of this TBR because every month I get someone to pick something for me to read, and in this case, because it's my birthday month, I asked Macky to pick the book for me. I'm really excited actually because he picked 2 books in a series that I really have wanted to continue. I've just never, you know, had the push to do it. For some reason, people telling me that I should read something has been such a good push for me to read things this year. So I'm hoping it's the same with this, even though it's very, very long and very, very involved. I'm going to be binging the first trilogy in the Kushiel's series, I want to say. This is Phaedra's trilogy, right?
Yes, this is Phaedra's trilogy.
So I'm going to reread Kushiel's Dart because it's been quite some time since I read it. And then I'm going to jump straight into Kushiel's Chosen and Kushiel's Avatar.
It's a story about a young girl named Phaedra who discovers that she, or rather it was discovered for her, that she's an Anguisset, a kind of, you know, mortal being that is, I want to say, marked by the angel Kushiel, which, you know, makes her derive pleasure from pain, right? So there is pleasure in much yielding to terrible abuse and all of this kind of stuff, right? Which she may have a love-hate relationship with over the course of time.
Well, who wouldn't?
Which is ironic because part of the whole BDSM thing is, you know, shame is a huge aspect of it too. So the shame that which she derives pleasure from certain terrible things, it sort of almost fuels everything like that. So it's really this weird kind of feedback loop of stuff. And so how does that fit into the larger piece if she's just like this glorified, you know, specialized courtesan? I love how Jacqueline Carey is able to take that young girl and show how in yielding, right, to such terrible things, she's able to save, like, you know, her kingdom, her loved ones, and that there is much power in yielding that we never thought there could be possible. So.
It's a really good book. I was very impressed with the first one. I was very surprised too because Macky loves these books, and I told him, I was like, it's so weird to me because he normally doesn't read court intrigue books.
And then I'm just like, what? No, court intrigue. And then I think about it, I'm like, it was all court intrigue. I mean, basically, she basically becomes a spy at the end at the most part, because pillow talk is its own thing, and so if she gets into bed with a lot of, you know, people, she will learn a lot of secrets, and quote unquote legally, because in this sort of society, courtesans are a thing. Like, it's not like frowned upon. They're very, very.
It's a normal thing.
Yeah, they're very, very kind of attuned to the whole sexual side of things. It's not a shame kind of thing. In fact, they have something called the Court of Night Blooming Flowers, which is like devoted to every single aspect of sexuality. So you would think it's just sort of like a nice porny romp. It's not at all. It's there when it's there. It's a little bit. I'd like to think Alexa can say it's no different from like the regular kind of romance novels. Yeah. I think. But at the end of the day, it's a story about a young girl who saves her kingdom one way or the other. And Alexa's read the first one, so it's not too much of a spoiler. But the fact that there's 3 books means she survives. Like, the
reason why I didn't want to continue originally was because I was very happy with how something particularly ended in the first one, and I'm upset at the thought that it's not going to be that way in the second. So I absolutely love this series. When I grow up, someday I want to be like Jacqueline Carey. So that is that. Yep, that is our TBR, a very ambitious TBR for August. We shall see if we can conquer this TBR mountain we've built ourselves here. In the meantime, tell us what you guys are planning to read for August. If you have read any of the things that we've read or are very excited about them. We're happy to chatter about them too. Yeah. And we'll see you guys with another video soon. Bye!